I'm Dora Tarver, and welcome back to your exclusive video coaching program on the secret strategies to quickly create and manage project schedules. In this lesson, we'll focus on completing the project schedule template configuration and formatting. And we'll apply secret strategies for adding your project lifecycle phases, tasks, milestones, and deliverables. Now keep in mind, we're only focusing on the common tasks and milestones and deliverables that you will use in future projects. So let's get started.
Okay, now we're going to focus on creating the standard project lifecycle phases, tasks, and milestones that typically appear in the project schedule. So we've set our options, we've formatted the tasks, the text, and the Gantt chart, and now we're going to add the actual detail that you're going to see. And first off, I want to mention that if you go to www.e as in Edward dash like a minus sign projectmanagers.com and look under the main menu for Roadmap to Success, there you'll see a item that actually walks you through the standard project lifecycle, the phases, tasks, and deliverables, and it provides detail and a description on what they are. So we're going to go ahead and kind of follow that outline. The first thing that you'll do in your project schedule is go ahead and type your project name. I'm going to go ahead and put this in parentheses. I'm going to say project name, and that's just a reminder that we need to put our project name. Now, this is changing red because remember we formatted all critical tasks to appear as red. And again, critical tasks are tasks with no slack. So first row, enter your project name, and then we're going to enter the project lifecycle phases. And now it doesn't matter if you're using waterfall or Scrum or some other agile methodology. You can still enter whatever your project lifecycle phases are as you're setting up your schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and use a waterfall technique. My project phases will be initiation phase, and then we're going to have the planning phase, and then we have our execution phase and closeout. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight each of these and I'm going to indent them under the project name. And above the initiation phase, I'm going to insert a row by hitting the insert key, and I'm going to type first actually I'm going to normally what you do is you would type begin and then whatever your project name is. Since we don't have a project name, I'm just going to go ahead and type, I'm going to use the same general placeholder that we have. Okay, so this is our template, and this will be a milestone. So what we'll do is we're going to change the duration to 0. Since we formatted our schedule to show milestones as blue and critical tasks as red, this milestone appears blue because we just set the duration to 0. Now the next thing we're going to do is, so we have the beginning of the project, and then we also have when the project is complete. So actually what I want to do, I want to type project name and then complete. This is going to be our complete milestone. Again, it's going to have a duration of 0. Now the next thing we'll want to do is add the milestones for the beginning and ending of each of these phases. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my insert key and put some spaces between the project phases that we've added in here. And I'm going to put 3 rows between each one. So what you'll do is then basically for each phase in your project, if I select the cell, hit F2, highlight the content, and then you'll have a milestone for the beginning and end of each phase. Now this information is important because you'll use the beginning and ending of phases for your reporting. So go ahead and add this information. So for example, we have begin, initiation phase, that's a milestone, and we have initiation phase complete, oops, and that's a milestone. Okay, now let's format this. We know that these milestones are going to be indented under the initiation phase. Okay, and we'll do something similar for the planning phase. Highlight the planning phase, and then under here you'll write begin, hit F2, paste in planning phase, make that a duration of 0, go down to the bottom, hit F2, paste in planning phase, type the word complete, and then make it a duration of 0. Again, highlight these and indent them so they appear under the planning phase. Select the execution phase, hit F2, hold the shift key down, hit home, control insert to copy the name, and then on the next row, hit F2, type begin, and then shift insert, paste in the name, and then scroll over, type as duration of 0, hit F2 again, shift insert, and then type the word complete, and tabbing over, type the number 0 under duration, so that's a milestone. Again, select this and indent it. And for the closeout phase, we're going to do something similar. We're going to hit F2, shift home, highlight that, control insert. Under the next row, F2, begin, paste in closeout phase, hit tab, put a 0 in the duration, so it's a milestone. Again, hit F2, shift insert to paste, and then type the word complete, and in the duration field put a 0, and we'll highlight these rows and we'll indent them. Okay, so now you can see we've entered some data for these phases. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I see there's a space when I closed it, and we don't want to have spaces like that. Just for now, I'm going to type add tasks. Okay, and I'm going to highlight that, hit control insert, and then scroll down, shift insert, scroll down, shift insert, scroll down, shift insert, and I want to save this. Now when I collapse this, everything rolls up. So we see our project name, we see when the project is beginning and when the project is ending, and we have the different phases that are in the project lifecycle. Now, as I mentioned, we've formatted this so that the critical tasks appear red, the milestones appear blue, and what we want to do is we want to add the tasks that are within each project phase. Again, referencing the roadmap to success on e-projectmanagers.com, if you look at the initiation tab on that website, you'll see where it tells you literally what tasks are typically included in the initiation phase of your project. I'm going to go ahead and add the tasks from the roadmap to success so that you don't have to wait and watch me do that. We will be spending more time going through the work breakdown structure in a later session. Okay, so you can add whatever task you need. And so we've, at a high level, entered in some details. Now the next thing I want to do is add the predecessor relationships. So predecessor relationships, you have the predecessor column here, and your project will begin at whatever date you say it's going to start. And at that time, the first initiation task will start. So that means that task 4 in this example, begin initiation phase, begins when the project begins. So the predecessor would be number 2. I'm going to go ahead and add the duration and predecessors very quickly. Again, we're going to walk through the work breakdown structure and the relationship of task and how to build out the task in a later lesson. So I've just quickly gone through and shown you how you link your tasks. And as you can see graphically here in the Gantt chart, we see some information. Now I'm going to go ahead and change the Gantt chart and make the time scale a little bit wider. I'm right clicking. Right now we have bottom tier as months. I'm going to change that to weeks. Middle tier we have as quarters, so I'm going to change that to months and click on OK. That way we can see a little bit more detail here. And this shows you the relationship of the task that we've created and when they're going to start and when they're going to end. So notice that these red tasks have no slack, and the ones that are blue actually have a bar, meaning slack. Okay, and that's why they're not red. So go ahead and complete adding in the relationships between your tasks, and that's how you actually set up the initial schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to fast forward this so you don't have to hear me talking, but you'll get the general idea of how to set up predecessor relationships. So now we have the relationships defined, and because I didn't put very many durations in here, the project schedule appears in the Gantt chart under pretty much the same week. But let me just really quickly go through here. Okay, so now I've added some space, and if I move over here into the Gantt chart and scroll over, you'll see that we have our tasks spread out over a period of time, and you can see that there are many tasks that don't have slack. So we'll adjust that in our next lesson. But the point of this is that you'll want to go ahead and fill out your project life cycle and put in the milestones and the tasks that you're aware of. One of the shortcuts for navigating through this is if you hit your minus button over here in the format bar, it'll collapse your project schedule. If you hit the plus, it'll expand it one level. Plus again, expands it to the next level, depending on how many indentations you have. Okay. You can quickly navigate through and set up your schedule. And if you have many projects on the horizon that are similar to this, then when you hit save, you can use this project schedule template already set up for future projects, where you don't have to go through and think through what you do in your initiation phase or planning phase or execution phase or closeout phase. Now we're going to get into building your work breakdown structure in more detail in a future lesson, but keep this in mind that setting up the initial project lifecycle phases, tasks, and milestones in your project schedule template will help you save time when you need to create a new schedule in the future. You'll already have the structure created. It'll make jumping into your next project much faster. So now that we have our project schedule template set up, what you want to do is then when you're ready to use this for other projects, you'll want to go and open the template and then select the menu option File, select Save As, and then type in whatever your project name is. Let's say it's Finance System. That's your project name. Click on Save, and then you can go ahead and replace the project name with your whatever your project name is. In this case, we're calling it Finance System. Okay. And at the very bottom, we had an indicator for when the project is complete. Okay. The other detail is in the menu item File, select Properties, and you'll see the project schedule name, you'll see the author name, which was set in the options. You can put in other information like your company, the manager, the subject, category, keywords, etc. In the summary. And then click on OK. Now when you're using this for your template as a for a project, once you've opened the template and you've saved it, then you'll want to add whatever unique or additional tasks are needed for your project. But the good news is, because we've saved this as a template and we're using it from a template, you won't have to go in and set your options, you won't have to go in and set your text styles. All you'll need to do is think about what your project is and add additional tasks that you might have for that project. So let's say, the initiation phase has, for the finance system, a special task. Okay, so you would add whatever that task is. Whoops. And let's say in the planning phase, again, you might have some additional tasks because of the nature of this project. So you can go ahead and just add whatever those tasks are. You can indent them, create subtasks, define your schedule in whatever way you need to. But again, the good news is we've already configured the majority of the schedule, and this is a tremendous time saver by the fact that you've already set it up. And now all you need to do is go in and add the specific details of your project. Okay. Now, once you've set up your project schedule like this, then in many environments you might be using a resource pool. If you're using a resource pool, you'll want to then link your resource pool to the schedule and begin to add the resources that you're assigning to these tasks. But we'll actually get into that detail in another session.
So there you have it. Your template is set up. You've configured and formatted it, so now you can use it over and over again in future projects. This will jumpstart your efforts, and you'll have to spend a lot less time than you would have if you hadn't taken these steps. Now, scroll below and take a look at the homework. Make sure you practice using the hotkeys so that you're prepared for our next lesson. See you next week.